freaking COVID is back. Cases are now up to a 7-day average of 2,000 or 1,907 a day. Our hospitalizations are up to almost 900, which is about half where we were at the peak, but going in absolutely the wrong direction. So yeah, Delta variant, which, like the previous variants of COVID, started in other places and slowly moved our way. And, when we had a chance to do something about it, we didn't. And now we're going to do the wait and see thing and see how bad it gets before we inevitably react way behind the 8 ball. So yeah, I mean, we've been through this. We know what the deal is. Hospitalizations go up, deaths usually follow. I'll look at a couple things that make me a little more optimistic about this go around. But for the unvaccinated, I mean, this is like the previous COVID all over again, right? I mean, you're just getting it and getting sick and dying from it. And of course, a bazillion stories, even in Oklahoma, coming out of people who are like, man, I wish I had gotten my shot. And, there's still time. You could still avoid it. It'll probably peak here sooner rather than later. But, every step of the vaccine process helps you prepare yourself and get immunity. So you should definitely do it. If you're a vulnerable population, you should hunker down. And really all of us should be, back to masking and all that. But we could take system-wide precautions like, wearing masks in stores and canceling some events and things like that. But, it doesn't appear we're going to do that because, according to the governor's spokesperson, we got strong leadership here. No lockdowns, no mask vaccine mandates, freedom, and protecting parents' fundamental right to make healthcare decisions for their minor children. I mean, I just wonder, what... I know we all have different parenting styles, and I'm not really one to judge heavily other people's parenting styles, but it's like, do you tell your kid not to run out into traffic? Do you take the scissors out of your kid's hand when they're running down the hallway? I just wonder, what's the freedom here that we're getting in not protecting our unvaccinated children from a horrible respiratory virus with unknown long-term effects? Carly looks pretty young. I'm guessing she doesn't have kids. And all of us, like I said, wide range of views and opinions on parenting. Some are more cautious than others, but it's just I don't know. Yeah, kids will get sick. Yeah, all that. But it's just weird to me to not want to take basic precautions to protect your child from an unknown disease. We all take many precautions with kids to protect them, and just the fact that they can't get the vaccine, the fact that cases are surging. It's like if cases were zero, yeah, I get it. Let's not overreact. Don't cancel school. Don't make kids wear masks. I guess, but they're surging. School starts in a week, and cases are way, way, way up. I don't get why we can't react to the information we've got. Why is that the crazy thing to do? So Governor Stitt, nowhere to be found amid COVID surge, Oklahoma Democratic leaders say. So the Dems are blasting Stitt on COVID because he's not doing anything. We got damn near 1,000 people in the hospital, and we're not just nothing. So without the state of emergency in place, schools aren't allowed to mask up because of Senate Bill 658. There was a case just, I guess, today that it got thrown out in Arkansas the mask ban thing. So again, I mean, school districts here could challenge it in court, try to get a rush on it, but I mean, school starts like next week for a lot of people. So I don't really know what they're waiting for. I probably would have gotten my school legal department, in some of these larger districts, they've got multiple attorneys to file that shit already, but we're just very reactive here in Oklahoma. So anyway, so people are trying to pressure Stitt. Good luck. Obviously, Stitt's a psycho and isn't probably going to change. And so we're going to be in this horrible position where the responsible families will make their kids mask up because, even my 6-year-old can wear a fucking mask all day. It's not that hard. He understands that the main reason he has to do it is because he cannot get the vaccine. It sucks. We don't love it for him, but probably better than just getting COVID over and over and seeing what happens. And of course, there's kids that, we don't know that's going to happen, or kids who have immunocompromised family members, like raised by grandparents, blah, blah, blah. Lots of reasons to stop kids from getting COVID that are perfectly reasonable, but we're not seeming to want to do that. So anyway, Dems pressuring Stitt. Who else was out there? OK Policy put out a open letter to Stitt asking him to implement the state of emergency. While the most vulnerable populations do have a lot of vaccines, which is good, again, kids under 17 can't get it. So we're just stuck. Kids under 12 can't get it. So, we just have a lot of young children that are unable to get vaccinated and but still can carry COVID and still get sick from it. And so trying to mitigate that in even minor ways seems exceedingly reasonable unless you are just one of these full-on anti-mask, anti-vax psychos. And I'm trying to see where I've got it. Do I have it? So I'm going to move this up because I think this is an important point. This was a national poll showing that, overwhelming majority of people support everyone being required to get the COVID vaccine, even higher in special cases. So, airplanes was what they polled. And this was a massive survey back in April, May, and then June, July. So anyway, wide support for vaccine requirements. And obviously, if you're for vaccine requirements, I'm sure you're fine with mask requirements. Even support for getting kids vaccinated, even higher support for college kids. So where I'm going with this is we don't have to listen to the insane people. There is no political majority that requires us to listen to the craziest voices that show up screaming about the, latest QAnon conspiracy, or that, a million people have died of vaccines magically that nobody can find and don't exist. So we have political support to do lots of reasonable stuff. And so we should capitalize on that. We should do it. We should take reasonable precautions, because this is what the other side is all about. We've talked about him a lot on here. Jackson Lemire, who is running to unseat James Lankford in the 2022 Senate primary. Here's what he has to say about COVID precautions.
Now, I got news for you today. Here at Sheridan, this is a group of people. We don't bow to tyrants either. We don't do it, and we never will. There's rumors and speculation that come next month, they're going to try a national lockdown in the United States of America. That includes churches. A national lockdown. Now, let me tell you something. When the Luciferians tried to shut down churches last year, we didn't bow then, and we won't bow now. You can mark my words. In fact, let me tell you what's going to happen if these Luciferians try to shut down this church. We will have church every single night while there's a national lockdown. Every single night, there will be church in this house. You say, Jackson, that's really excessive to have church every single night. You know what's excessive? Trying to shut down the church. That's really excessive in my mind. We don't bow.
So excessive that it doesn't even happen. I mean, this guy is literally inventing stuff to be mad about. Like, we only shut churches for a very brief period of time during the peak of the initial wave of COVID. And obviously his church never shut down. Like, they just ignored it and kept meeting anyway, spreading COVID to and fro. So, I mean, he's just like inventing stuff to be mad about. Really crazy stuff. Additionally, Frontier put out a great thing where they're fact-checking social media claims about the COVID vaccine. This is pretty helpful. Again, like, all of their grievance about this stuff is just based on false information. I mean, it's just purely invented. And I've seen this one passed around a lot. The vaccine adverse event reporting system, saying that there were, thousands of deaths. Like, I just love that it's like the initial claim is that COVID's killed the vaccine has killed 12,000 people. The reporting system actually says, maybe there's a question about half that number. And then, of course, when you dive into like the actual data that is there, there's like very few. Most of them are coincidental or unverifiable. Like, this is like a self-reporting type system. So, there's a lot of questions about where the data is even coming from. And so it's just a false claim. And never mind that like 165 million people have been fully vaccinated. And so, I mean, that number of death is teeny tiny compared to the over 600,000 that have died of COVID. So if you're doing a very basic statistical analysis of this, of which should I do, choose your own adventure. Should I go out and get coronavirus and risk being one of the 600,000 dead? Or should I get the vaccine and risk being one of the some number significantly less than 6,000? I don't know how to explain those odds to you. I mean, they're off by a factor of over 100, possibly 1,000 once you get the actual data. But, do you?